Welcome to the Mental Health Podcast, brought to you by Zuri Day Wellness, LLC, where we discuss all things mental health. I am your host and favorite health and wellness coach, Gianni, and today your soul is in for a treat. Joining us on the couch for episode 4 is a very inspirational woman with a testimony that will knock your socks off. So grab your tea and meet me over at the couch. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Mental Health Podcast, where we discuss all things mental health. I am your host, Gianni, and today we have a very special friend of mine appearing on the show. Let's give a round of applause for Mrs. Iceis, Elliot. Hey, girl. How you doing today?
How are you?
I'm good. So Iceis and I actually go way back, like 4 flags on the Cadillac, okay? From grade school, reconnected after high school, and now we are both wives, moms, entrepreneurs, and full-time workers, okay? So, as you can tell, Iceis and I have really been on the same journey almost. So I really wanted to bring her on here because her and I testimonies are so similar, and I think it's very important to bring highlight to women who go through mental health battles, but those who also excel on the other side of it. I am so excited to have you on the show today. Thank you for taking the time out.
I'm excited to be here, and I just want to say, because I believe in giving people their flowers while they're here, and like seeing your journey, seeing your growth. I think it's amazing when you get to see the trajectory of someone's just relationship. You know what I mean? So to see your journey and to see just where you are now, it's amazing. It's literally like watching that rose blossom through the concrete. And I feel like that's exactly what I've been able to see and witness. And I'm just so proud of you.
Thank you. All right, Iceis. So we're going to start off with 2 truths and a lie. Go.
Okay. All right. I have a horrible poker face, so I'm going to try. Okay. 2 truths and a lie. So I graduated from Springfield College. My favorite color is yellow, and I have 4 kids.
I'm going to go with yellow because I think your favorite color is like purple or something.
See? You see why you can't really...
I'm like, I don't think it's yellow. I don't think so.
I love the color yellow. It's not, purple and pink are my like go-to favorite colors.
Awesome. All right. So tell the people a little bit about yourself and about how your mental health journey kind of jump-started.
So I am a wife. I am a mom of 4. I have an awesome blended family. I'm an entrepreneur. I have a candle business that I recently started. But before jumping into that, I've always just had the love and like just the want for people being their best selves and just their well-being being intact and as stable as it can be, and really taking ownership of what their truth is so no one can tell you your truth, and ownership of your happiness so no one can take that away from you regardless. And I started out with just honestly talking and being positive and, you know, kind of this life coaching thing before life coaching became like this really popular way. So I started this organization that was called REC. It stood for Welcome Reality, Accept Change. Now it's called Gloss with Iceis. And it was birthed out of just my own mental health concerns. So, I'm a product of a mother who committed suicide at the age of 16. I was raised by my grandparents, which a lot of people didn't even know that truth about me until I turned like 18. It was something that I didn't really like to talk about, or I always struggled with. I don't know who my dad is, like my biological father. So I've always kind of struggled with this identity in regards to my mental health. So I was really just big and have always been big on just empowerment and healthy mental health statuses. I'm in the fields. I work in the fields. I'm a social worker. And it's really just been this natural thing that has kind of stuck with me throughout my life. No matter how much I've tried to run away with it, run away from it, no matter how much I've tried to avoid it, it's something that always falls back in my lap.
Yeah. And I remember the work we did together for RAC, going to speak to some teenagers and really being able to see the shift in the moment of, letting these children know that they're not alone or abnormal for feeling the way they felt was very, very impactful during the time that you were, working with RAC. And all thanks to your platform birthed all of this. And I'm so grateful for you seeing, a light in me and wanting to share your light as well, and collaborating on that, going out and working in that ministry that didn't seem like it was really being filled at the time. Yes, you've done great work. Great work. So I know for me personally, as someone who has had a mental health battle, I often try to, as a mom, not let those things that I dealt with in the past affect me in my parenting skills. So do you feel like there's any part of what you went through that kind of alters the way you parent or affects the way you parent now?
Yes. So, when we talk about the mental health field, I think we are really just coming on board with, especially with our generation, pointing it out. It was kind of this taboo conversation to have, I think, especially even for me being raised by grandparents who were already basically elders when, my mom had me. And knowing that, especially for people of color in our background, like we don't necessarily know what depression looks like. We don't necessarily do the whole, hey, you need to go see someone. You need to go talk about your issues. I was very much so in the family of like, hey, our business is our business and we'll handle it from the inside. And so now being a mother, and being a mother with even just a background of like lacking a biological mother, I really try to come from this standpoint of no, like I want my children to be able to talk about what's bothering them. I want my children to be able to confront those things that's bothering them. And I want to also be able to provide the resources to also help them feel okay and feel safe and feel open. And because again, like you said, we can feel embarrassed. We can feel like it's not normal or common to have these bouts of depression and everything. And in all honesty, we're going to go through life that's going to bring those things on. So for me, when it comes to just parenting, I'm more open to having the conversation and putting not necessarily a title, but putting a name on what that thing is so we can know what to work on. And I never take it away from my parents. They did amazing with me. They didn't have to take me in. I could have been anywhere else. But the one thing that they did teach me is to speak your truth if you feel like, it needs to be spoken. And now even more, I'm with my kids saying, speak your truth and walk out your truth and don't be ashamed of what that truth is. Yeah. So that's the parent that I am at this point.
Nice, nice. And I love that. I love that, you incorporate that open communication, with your children, where it's like, you don't have to hide what you're going through, but more so, let's talk about it together. Let's get through this together, because there are oftentimes, especially with our culture, kids of color often feel shut out and unseen.
Yes.
I grew up in a household, where everywhere we went, it was like, you better be on your best behavior. Don't you even think about acting up. Like, just be seen, not heard. And I know for me, it kind of diminished my ability to communicate certain things, because I applied that to every area of my life. Even when I needed to sit in my truth, I didn't feel comfortable sitting in my truth until I got older and just kind of broke down and let everything out. And I know that
walk out what you're taught, in those early stages of child development. A lot of our personality ends up being like this learned kind of behavior, right? So like how you said, it's like be in a room, but you're really not in the room. It's something that's taught. So now as we get older, that's usually how we address situations, or we walk those things out.
Yeah. And I know for me, not being able to communicate as a child who was going through things that I didn't understand myself. I didn't understand I was going through a depression because of the sexual abuse. I didn't even understand the sexual abuse was wrong until I got to an older age, and I'm like, oh, this is happening to me. And in that moment, I needed to be able to sit in my truth and go to my parents, who I felt were the ones that were my protectors and to keep me secure. And because of that, lack of ability to communicate, I know that transferred over into my adult relationships. As I got older, as I started dating, as I started looking for a life partner, I didn't do such a good job in that area. And I struggled with my identity as a woman. Do you feel that your mental health journey kind of developed these unrealistic paradigms of what a woman should be like or look like throughout your journey?
Oh, absolutely. Which is kind of toxic, right? Because again, when you are kind of looking like the women in my family, we're very strong, but we're silent. And then, so it kind of makes me think like, then are we really strong? Because why are we silent? Why don't we talk about these things? We can learn so much from each other. But again, I think this is the time of breaking generational curses, in that new transition that starts to happen when you have a new generation that's coming up and saying, this is wrong. Like how you said with the sexual acts, somewhere you think that this is normal until you come to a certain age and you're like, I don't feel safe. And so I think a lot of times as women, we are pressured. We are pressured because one, we're the nurturers, we're the ones who birthed this earth, the lands and everything. So we have a lot of responsibilities on us. We're the caregivers and the caretakers, right? We are the ones who are the most forgiving and at times the most that are vulnerable when it comes to just not being safe, or I should say at risk when it comes to not being safe and giving that vulnerability and everything. And so I think as women, we play so many different roles in this that we're kind of taught versus, hey, it's okay if strong sometimes looks like you saying no. It's okay if sometimes strong looks like you having a boundary. It's okay if strong looks like I don't have to take this, or like how my father used to say, you can put the food on my plate, but that doesn't mean that I have to eat it.
Yeah.
And that's the thing that I think is starting to change now when we think about mental health from a woman's perspective. It's one of those things where it's like, I don't have to take this abuse. I can say no and it's okay. I don't have to look like I have to carry everything. We have this superwoman kind of lens or cape that's often put on us. And that can be toxic at times. I don't want to be superwoman. I don't want to be known as the person who can take it all and handle it all, because in reality, that's not true. That's not true. So yeah, sometimes being superwoman, it can sound great. It can sound cute. It can sound like a dope title to have. But that cape is often a very deep, dark, and demanding cape to have on our back at times.
Yes.
It is.
Listen,
a lot.
It absolutely is. And I think it's one cape that is kind of underestimated almost. The cape of a full-time mom, a full-time wife, a full-time dream seeker. We all have our own desires before we became these things. But like you said, this is the time of breaking generational curses. And I think that is very, very important because another similarity we share is we didn't find our husbands until we came to Christ. Okay?
And what's interesting? Until we took it more serious. Because I think we've always had like a part of our belief system there.
Yes.
But I think until we realize our worth and our relationship and how God views us.
Yes.
And that's when God was like, okay, now I can send him your way.
Yes.
Especially given the fact of like, even who our husbands are, right? Because they're strong, they're entrepreneurs, they're go-getters. And like, it's almost like we were literally just put in marriages that like God knew us. You could tell God knew my heart. He knew what my desire was. Because I see it when I look over and I see who my companion is.
Exactly. I think, my favorite part about finding my husband after coming to Christ was knowing that I had a partner that was going to accept my past. Because as a survivor of suicide attempts, gone through depression and so much darkness, it's very hard to come in contact with people who might actually see that little bit of light that you had at that time. And I know, at the time that I met my husband, I had just kind of come to this place in my own spiritual journey where it was like, this was meant for my destruction, This was absolutely meant for my destruction, but it is up to what I believe in, how the outcome ends. So I was very afraid of even really trying to pursue someone who might have been serious about me. But the most rewarding thing, the one thing that made me I fell in love with my husband after 5 days. Like I knew immediately, right? And I think for me, the big part was knowing that this person genuinely accepted that I had a dark past, but I also still had some healing to do.
Yeah.
And
how especially when you have been the cup pourer throughout your life. Mm-hmm. Because when we think about the relationships that we've been in, because we have watched each other go through, like we've watched each other, have a child with someone else. We've watched each other, whether I know, like I had an engagement previously before then, I know you've been serious with someone before then, so to now know that we attract damaged people, right? Because damage attracts damage. So there was that part of it. And then on top of that, it was the fact that we were also struggling with just identity, right? And trying to find ourselves in relationships, because as women, we are naturally nurturers and loving people. So we want to be loved, right? And then we both have father figures, right? Like you have your father, and then I had my grandfather, who was the only father that I knew. And we also kind of watched like how they loved us as well, right? So then we kind of go looking for that too. But it's not until we realize that there's something in me that's damaged that I need to have made whole first, yes, right, before I try to get into something serious. Because we also know the person who we're going to be connected to is also coming with their stuff as well, right? So that's why I don't believe in like that 50-50 kind of thing. No, I should be 100 and you should be 100. So somewhere we are able to lean on each other when we start scratching at the doors of those things that cause us our insecurities, or those things that are icky and just nasty that we can still have these moments of shame about.
Yes, I agree. So now that you've gone through your journey of, losing your mother to suicide, having your own mental health battles, working through that, coming to a confident place of who you are in Christ. Again, you're a mom, you are a wife, and you are a full-time worker and entrepreneur. How do you maintain your mental health now? Because before it was just you, right? But as a woman, again, we put that cape on with all of those roles. How do you maintain your mental health?
So my husband is such a blessing. He's such a blessing because in this time, he has helped me take my cape off when it's too heavy, and have supported me and continues to support me when he knows it's time for you to think about yourself. Because I struggled. I really struggled. I indulged in, alcohol. I indulged in just like self-harming behaviors. I indulged in, just giving my body away, negligently to people just because I didn't want to think, I didn't want to be, right? So that's my truth. And now I'm in this place where before meeting him, I dated God. I got into a serious relationship with God, because at this point, I knew the only way to save me from me and my self-destruction was that I needed to really take him serious. And if you knew me, God, before you placed me in my mother's womb, then I'm going to need you to show me a glimpse of that woman. And during that time, he showed me a glimpse of that woman. And I was just like, I want to be her. I want to be her. And so I started working on that. And then that's when he sent me my helpmate. And that's what I love about allowing God to put relationships together, because he knows exactly what you need, right? And my husband will always say, I'm the person where you tried something different, right? Because if you look at all my past relationships or guys I've been interested in compared to my husband, it's kind of like, girl, for real? Like I never would have known, I never would have set you up with this. I never saw, but it was because I told God, I said, it's your will for the desires of my life, and so my husband really helps me in these moments where I struggle. And so now I've learned throughout my marriage to, one, pay attention to my body, pay attention to the signs when I'm overly stressed. Also, I can go to him when I know that I need prayer, right? Because he's also the head. So I'm under his protection as well, right? And he's also helped me to be able to come alongside my faith even more and come alongside with me on that journey. So it's been amazing that a lot of these things that I'm learning that are now positive, I've really learned through my marriage.
Nice. Again, there goes another similarity. Before we met our husbands, we dated God, right? That celibacy period for me, was torture, right? Getting to know God and dating God before marriage was such a breaking of character. It was a lot of breaking of heart. I think I broke my own heart more when I was dating God than before or after. But yes, that is so beautiful. Like having a supportive partner, again, who accepts your past and understands you still have healing to do is so very, very important. There is so much power in marriage when you do it the right way. When it's done the right way, when you know it is a God-given relationship, and like you said, you'll probably more than likely know because it'll be different than everything else you've tried. And when you hone down and really look to God and say, show me, reveal it to me. Who am I supposed to be? I think I know, but I don't really know, right? Show me that person. Show me how to get there. Show me the steps. Things are just completely different than when we try to do it ourselves. I am so glad that the relationship you are in now is giving you way more positive than anything else in this world, because it is very influential on our mental health when we have to carry the burden alone versus having someone to share it with. When I lost my son, my father said to me, because I was trying to carry it by myself, he says, strength does not come from carrying things alone. It comes from sharing it with those around you.
Yeah,
and
that's powerful.
Yeah, that meant a totally different, I had a different perspective of that one statement once I got married.
And you know what? It gives you a glimpse of healthy, right? What does it look like when you're healthy? Mm-hmm. And I think there is a difference when I think about how I used to stress out back then, or how I used to have breakdowns back then, it wasn't healthy. It wasn't safe.
Yeah.
And compared to now, when I have my moments, like I still go through, I lost my best friend. I lost my dad. I lost, like mentally, I feel like I'm losing one of my daughters because she is struggling with mental health, So there's times where like I still feel really stressed or overwhelmed, but it's in a healthy way.
Yeah.
I'm not having thoughts of before of taking myself out.
Right.
I'm not trying to run away or drink the problems away or sleep the problems away, so it gives me kind of these checks and balances where you can even see now I can have a healthy way to navigate this stress or navigate when I'm overwhelmed, and so I think everyone should have a safety plan. Yeah. I think everyone should have a safety plan and just a self-assessment, right? Because we have to know ourselves. We have to know our triggers. We have to know when we're in a bad space and what this can do. And we have to really identify what toxic looks like, because what it can look like for you, it may not look like for me,
right.
So even recognizing what is toxic behavior and when do we realize, hey, this is where my boundary is. This is my no.
Yeah.
And this is why this has to be my no.
Yeah. But also, like you said, to be able to check in with yourself and recognize your own triggers and recognize your own uncomfortable feelings and when they arise and how to deal with it moving forward. So, Iceis, thinking back to single mom days, right? When you thought marriage wasn't possible, when you thought living another day wasn't possible, if there was a message you could give that version of you today, what would it be?
You are not your mother. Ooh. You have so much to give and you have so much to live for. There is a reason for your being. There is a reason for your existence. There is a reason why you have the heart that you have. And there is a reason why this particular journey was given to you, because no one else can walk this journey out like you. There is no one on this earth that is like you. And you are so necessary to the process. You are necessary to the process of people that you are going to come across in life. You don't realize that you at times hold a key to someone else's well-being. And it's because you are a vessel being used in the kingdom. And that is your purpose. And you are a fighter. And that is your purpose. And that is the reason why there are times that you are going to get some of the hardest battles. But it's because in the kingdom, you are one of God's fighters.
Wow. I felt like that was for me. I don't even feel like that was for an older version of you. I felt like that was for me right now.
Yeah. I used to, and I don't know if it'll be so funny because, like I said, we have such kindred spirits. When I would go through, and even sometimes now, I'll catch myself saying, I don't want to fight anymore. I'm tired of it. I'm tired of fighting. I don't want to fight anymore. And I remember my husband looked at me, he said, but that's your ministry. Ooh. And it's a ministry that's often overlooked because people don't want to fight. But when we look at the world around us today, people are fighting for their lives. And when you look at us, G, like, think about it. We were born fighting. We were born fighting. So to be here and to like see everything that's going on, and even for me, kind of somewhat say, I halfway held on to my mental health through this. Like I just knew this if anything would take me out at this point. But it's because look at the tools that we've been able to gather, right? So I want to put that out there for anyone who kind of looks at themselves and feels like, I'm always fighting. Why is that? That might be your ministry. If you've ever wondered what your purpose is, that is a ministry in itself. Because it's not a lot of people who can fight, which is why suicide at times goes from the first to second highest thing that's taking people out. Yeah. Because people get tired of fighting. Yeah. Wow. That is such a true statement. I'm tired of fighting, but that's your ministry. That is beautiful. I'm going to hold on to that and put that up on my wall somewhere. Tagline, girl. It's my ministry. Well, thank you, Iceis, so much. It has been a wonderful time talking with you about the different roles of women. Oh, my goodness. But just for a moment, I do want to let you guys know that I did publish my mental health journey a couple years ago. Once I started my walk with Christ, it was heavy on my spirit to share the journey that I went through with child loss and sexual abuse at a very young age, and helping other women find their confidence on the other side of going through things like that, because it is very natural to feel ashamed, to feel scared, to feel worried about what happens to you after. And it could take forever. It's okay to be on a healing journey and not know exactly where to go. But my book, No, You Are Not Allowed to Hurt Me Anymore, is available on Amazon and ZuriDayWellness.com. Again, it is about my journey through depression and suicide and how I came to Christ and found victory on the other side. Any last notes or messages for the people out there? I'm going to co-sign the book. It's a fabulous book. I have a signed copy of the book. And what I love and what I hope that your book continues to do is inspire women all over to walk in their truth, not in their shame, walk in their truth, so you can open the door for other women to do that as well. So that's an amazing thing. You can find me at Gloss with Iceis. That's GLOSS with Iceis, ICEIS on Facebook, as well as IG. That is my coaching page. And the plug in for Crisis Candles. Listen, we all believe when you are going through and you just need a moment to be able to inhale and exhale, we make candles that help you as well when it comes to just meditation and when it comes to just wanting to be able to smell a scent to help calm your senses. So you can also check my business page out, Crisis Candle Company.
Awesome. Definitely get your candle. I'm waiting on mine in the mail, and hopefully she can hear it in the day.
Yes. Monday. It should get there Monday.
All right. So when I get my candle, guys, you will definitely see a review. from Iceis and her husband's company, Crisis Candles. Thank you, Iceis, again for your time. I love you, sister. I wish you were here in person, but we're living in a different world. I love you so much. Thank you again for your time. Have a blessed one.
You too, honey.
Bye-bye. Thank you, Iceis, for such a fun conversation. May God continue to guide you to your light path. We are praying for increase in your home, your marriage, and your ministry. Keep sharing your truths and defeating the odds. To the listeners, thanks for tuning in. Be sure to follow us on Instagram and Facebook at the Mental Health Podcast. Peace and blessings.